Untold Secrets of Malaysian Airlines MH370. You might wonder why am I talking about this now, which is a case which happened in 2014. Last year, world top air crash investigators decided to take this case for re-examination. While re-examining, they got the answers for the questions why, how and where. Till now, we just know Malaysian MH370 is lost and still we are not able to find it. But how many of us know what exactly happened to that flight? What are all the steps were taken to find this mysteriously missing flight? Is there any world level politics behind this missing? Watch the video till the end and get to know. Before we start the video, if you haven't subscribed our channel till now, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you will be the first person to know when we upload a video. So let's get into the video. On March 8, 2014, Malaysian Airlines MH370 flight along with 239 passengers was getting ready for the journey from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Among the 239 people, 227 people were passengers, 10 were crew members and 2 were pilots. First and senior most pilot was Zahari Ahmad Shah. His experience is 18,365 hours. Second pilot was junior pilot and his name was Farik Abdul Hamid. His experience is 2,763 hours. Compared to Zahari, Farik has very less experience. One interesting note is that Farik was still in his training period and this MH370 was his last ride in training period. But unfortunately, it happens to be his last flight training too. On March 8, 2014, the weather condition was perfect. Before traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, it should enter the Vietnam airspace. Gave permission to MH370 to contact the Ho Chi Minh air traffic control and they got disconnected. Exactly after 1 minute 43 seconds from the point of disconnection, MH370 disappeared from the radar signal. The reason behind this disappearance can be due to two pilots or any other passengers in the flight could have handled the signals manually. Though Malaysian air traffic control knows about this earlier, they thought this could be a technical problem and they waited for the flight arrival time. But the flight did not arrive at the scheduled time and after 4 hours they announced the missing of the flight. Initially, a team was formed to search the whereabouts of the flight from the point of the signal got lost, and by taking the additional information by the Malaysian army, the search area was increased. By the details given by the Malaysian army, the flight started to turn right from its radar path. After that, it took a U-turn on its left. Without any reason, the flight again started going towards Malaysia, and after crossing Malaysia, the radar signal became very weak and the flight was lost and no one knows where it went. So assuming that the point where the radar signal disappeared as the flight could have possibly be the surrounding regions around the locations like Bay of Bengal, Andaman Sea, Strait of Malacca and South China Sea were targeted as search areas, and many teams were formed to find that plane in these areas. Even when the search area was expanded, they could not locate MH370. There was one underwater locator machine in MH370 and this had a battery life of 40 days. When the signal from this underwater locator was traced, the signal was coming from 5 different locations. This seems to be weird. 3000 meters inside the ocean, by extending the search, this investigation was taken with submarines, but they can't even find a single piece of the flight. 16 months later, on July 29, 2015, when some people started cleaning the Reunion Beach, which is located in the Indian Ocean, they found a piece which is more likely to be a flight's piece. Aviation experts examined this piece thoroughly and identified it as the right flaperon, which is a small part in flight's right side wing. By seeing the serial number in the piece, they confirmed that this belongs to MH370. Now just take a minute and think. The location where the underwater locator signal was got and the location where this piece was found was exactly opposite. Actually, these both was several kilometers apart. So they guessed that the plane should have crashed in Indian Ocean. After that, due to the ocean's movement, these paths could have gone to that island. If this is true, then where are the other paths? So they started their search in southern Eastern Africa. And as guessed, 31 pieces were found in different locations, all belonging to MH370. Some of the right wing of the flight pieces was found in Pemba Island. Skin of the engine was found in Mossel Bay. Nose landing gear was found in Antisaraka Beach. Among 31 pieces, 18 were identified, but the remaining pieces was still in examination. But according to the examination taken already, they confirmed that MH370 has no chance of explosion. The examination started from day and went on to months and even years, and the government suspended that in 2017. The reason behind this cancelling of examination is within these 3 years, their search area was about 1,20,000 kilometers, and this is the highest money spent on any missing flight in history. So for the reason for not willing to spend on this operation, they cancelled this operation. And another theory is that This MH370 carried about 11 tons in its cargo, and among them lithium batteries was huge in number. There is a possibility of lithium battery getting fired and the flight would have crashed due to this. The reason behind this is UPS Airlines on 6th September 2010, which carried lithium ion batteries, got fired. And another theory is that there could be a electric wire problem. On September 2, 1998, Swiss Air 111's electric wire got into a problem and got disappeared from satellite communication and radar signal. So MH370 has its theory building up. Why did it took a sudden U-turn and try to go back to Malaysia? What will be the reason behind this? Is there a possibility of hijacking the flight? By taking this point of view, they checked all the passengers list that went in the flight. On investigation, they came to know that two people boarded the flight with fake passports. So they extended the investigation like whether these two people had any link with any terrorist groups. As I said earlier, Malaysian military radar traced this flight and they have the z-axis info of the flight. As of now, we talked about x and y axis. While viewing the z-axis, they came to know that while reaching Malaysian land border, after taking that U-turn, the flight went up above the height limitation, which is about 58,200 feet. But the maximum aviation operating altitude was just 43,100 feet. So the MH370 went about 15,000 plus this limit. After a stage, it suddenly dropped to just 4,800 feet. This z-axis is found out by the signal transmission second between satellite and the flight. But they also said that this could not be an accurate report. So they didn't take it into more focus. While there were many turns on the flight path, the experts say that first turn could be a manual turn. And after that, the flight lost its control and the flight went into autopilot mode and took those remaining turns. In 2014, many news magazines said that this should be the captain's action, as the captain already had a flight simulator set up in his house. Interestingly, the flight simulator has its route ending in southern Indian Ocean, which is approximately where MH370 was lost. But there was no problem in mental health and the family background of the captain. He was born in Penang Island, which is one of the locations that the flight crossed. Who knows, captain could have thought that he could see his hometown for one last time. So there was a change in his voice recording that he sent to air traffic control. He should have said like 120.9 good night Malaysian 370, but he didn't say this. But we can't suspect him only because of this, because he was in a good mental state and he has his own YouTube channel and has done many community services. Can't a guitar be there in guitarist home? Likewise, can't a flight simulator be there in pilot's home? Some people take this way too. Apart from this, the phone of Farik was located at Penang Island due to location-based service. What would be the reason behind this? Why was it hidden from the public? Some say the flight would have been hijacked, and some say this may be the reason to bring Boeing company down. Now, as a viewer, what do you think? What would have been the reason for the missing of this flight? Please comment your views, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe this channel. Bye. Have a good day.